This is Coach Jason Ballard, and I'm a business wingman. Over the years, I've learned a lot from working in our family construction business, serving as a senior officer in the United States Air Force, and running 12 different organizations around the world. Many people helped me get to where I am today, and it's my mission in life to serve as a personal wingman to others. That's what this podcast is all about, providing knowledge, tools, resources, and mentorship to help people soar to their highest altitude. Welcome back to the Soar Higher podcast. This is your host, Coach Jason Ballard. I'm excited to be with you today. As we turn into a new year, into 2025, we've got a really exciting topic to talk about today. Today, we're going to be talking about culture. How to build a winning culture of the future. A lot of things happen in 2024 and actually over the past couple of years that has got a lot of leaders frustrated about their company, where their company is, the people in their company, hiring the right kind of people, keeping the right kind of people, and having the right kind of culture, the right kind of a work environment that's fun, that's exciting, and everybody is excited to come back to work. Everybody wants to contribute, and they're engaged, and they're plugged in, and they're just ready to just do great things. They want to be part of something big, right? But a lot of people that I talk to out there in the business world are struggling with their culture and what is the right kind of culture for them. And I think a lot of this has stemmed from the pandemic and a lot of the changes the pandemic drove. Hybrid workforce, people working remotely, some people working in the office, some people coming in a few times a week, some people working remotely a couple times a week. I think other dynamics have come into play too, right? We've got a different type of workforce made up of different types of people. The baby boomers coming out of COVID started leaving the workforce in droves. In fact, today, the preponderance of people that make up the workforce are primarily millennials and Gen Zers. The boomers have exited the workforce in such numbers that they are no longer the dominating demographic of people that make up the workforce. Well, when you look at boomers and you look at Gen X and you look at Gen Z and the millennials, those are different types of people, different kind of needs, different types of levels of maturity, different levels of understanding around technology and efficiency, just lots of change. I think we can kind of roll up a lot of the past couple of years into just a few years of a lot of change. And I think that's got a lot of companies on their heels about what to do, how to embrace this change, what really is the future of our workforce, and what is our company going to be known for by what we do, how we do it, the people that we have inside the walls of the company that do it, and how is this culture going to play out, and what do we want to be known for? And I think a lot of people are struggling with that. And so today I'm going to break down how to develop a winning culture for you, for success tailored to your company. So I want to ask you a few questions. If you sit back and you think about your company, assuming you are in a leadership position, what is the right kind of culture for you? How would you define your culture today? If you were on this podcast and I was interviewing you and I said, so define your culture, talk to me about your company work environment, what would you say? Better yet, if I asked your employees, if I went to different departments of your company and pulled a handful of employees randomly, put them all in a room, put them on this podcast and ask them, how do you interpret the culture? How do you understand the culture in the company that you're working? Would your answer be different than theirs, or would you all say the same things? Another question, what does your culture need to be? Even if your culture is great today and you have a well defined culture that everybody understands is on the same page, is it good enough? Is it the right kind of culture for the future? Whether it's working well for you or not, the future and all the changes and the rapid change that we go through in life may put you in a position where you need to think about your culture a little bit differently. When you think about your culture, is it postured in a way where you're the most competitive you can be? Does your culture support an environment where you can be a dominator in your market, in your industry, and you can have the competitive advantage? Does it make you effective? Does it make you efficient, lean, and mean, and keep up with the rapid change? Think about those questions on a broader level, deeper level. What'd you come up with? Are you where you need to be? Are you rock solid? Are you 100% confident in your culture and what it needs to be to meet the demands of the consumer, meet the demands of your partners, meet the demands of the global economy, what we all play in? Does it meet the needs of your employees? If you've got some question marks there and you're not 100% confident, you want to listen up here because today we're going to break down culture in what that really means. And so I want to put this in the context of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Some of you may have heard of that. For those that may not be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Abraham Maslow was a psychologist back in the 1930s and 40s. And in 1943, he came up with this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's think about a five-tiered approach like a pyramid divided up into five different increments. It's all about human beings, how human beings think, how human beings operate, and what they need in order to be effective in life, right? And so I want to kind of break that down. Then I'm going to overlay that with your company and apply this to business. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is made up of five different kind of components. At the bottom of the pyramid, the foundation of the pyramid, is physiological needs. All human beings need things like air and water and food and shelter and clothing, um, basic necessities in life, in order to survive, in order to exist in the world as we know it today. The second tier above that is safety needs. We all need safety. We need personal security and live in a safe environment where we're not under threat or, somebody's going to harm us, right? We all need the security of stable employment because employment equals revenue, equals income and money that we need to pay the bills, right? At any point, somebody's unemployed, that's a very stressful situation, and that safety need is not being met. Safety also means they have the resources around them. It also means they're healthy and they're living a healthy lifestyle. Um, and so that's number two. So physiological needs, number one, food, water, those kind of things. Number two, safety with employment, safety of the environment we're in, whether we're at home or work, we're safe, we're secure, and we're not, under threat. Number three is love and belonging. We all need to belong to something, right? That's friendship, that's intimacy, that's love with a family member, a spouse, your kids, a sense of connecting, whether you're connecting to your faith and religion, whether you're connecting to your favorite football team on Sunday afternoons, watching the NFL, connecting to something, being a part of something bigger than just you. The fourth level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, towards the top of the pyramid, is esteem, self esteem, right? That's respect, having some kind of status in the world, being recognized in the world, right? Having strength, having freedom, having independence. You're a strong, confident person that has a strong self esteem. You've achieved the other three things below. You've achieved physiological needs, you've achieved the safety needs, you belong to something. Now you're able to be something stronger, something more confident. You are a thriving. You're not surviving anymore. You're thriving at the esteem level. And then the fifth and final level, the top of the pyramid, the peak that we all climb up and want to achieve is self actualization. What does that mean, right? That's when you're your best self. That means you've maximized your potential, that you've put yourself in a place where you are physically, mentally, socially, spiritually engaged and balanced and continuing to grow, continuing to develop yourself. And you're constantly in a cycle of just improving, improving, and improving, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The interesting thing is it's a pyramid for a reason, and you have to start at the bottom and build to the top. You can never achieve esteem or self-actualization at the top of the pyramid without having, established the other things, the physiological, the safety, the love, the belonging, all of that, right? It has to build on top of each other. Those are Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The point I want to get across to you and why I'm talking to you about this today is because your culture is really centered around your people. People are the business. Take away people, you have no business. You take away people, you have no customers. Take away people, you have no employees. Take away people, you have no needs to buy something or sell something, right? People make the world go around. People are the center of everything in life, certainly in business. So we need to focus on people as the centerpiece of what you're going to define as your culture. Yes, culture is also made up of your values. Your culture is also made up of your vision of where you're going and your mission. Culture is also made up of your kind of brand and your logo, and what you represent, and the image that people have of you. Yes, culture, is parts of those things are certainly part of your culture, but none of that really matters unless you figured out the people piece first. And interesting enough, as a business coach that coaches people all over the world, where do people focus most of their time and energy? It's all about the image and the brand and market competition and the vision of where their company is and how big they're going to grow and how far they're going to go, and being laser focused on being lean and efficient, and you know have a bar in the company, have ping pong tables, have free food on Fridays, right? They People spend a lot more time focused on those things, talking about those things. But why? Because those are the easier things to deal with, because people are complicated. Everybody's different. And it takes real work to get on a people level to really define your culture in those ways. And they do it in reverse. So instead of working on the people dynamics, they work on all these other things, and then they feel like they have a defined culture. But what's the trend in the market today? What's the data telling us? Data's telling us that it's extremely hard to find people that are a good fit. The data also says that about 74% of companies out there have a retention issue. They're not keeping their people long enough. They're onboarding them and training them and investing in them. And a year and a half, 2 years later, if they're lucky, people are leaving. Well, why are they leaving? People leave companies because of leadership issues, don't get along with the boss. They also leave because of culture, not a good supportive culture. And so I think A lot of leaders may not understand culture on the level they need to. I don't think they make it as people centric as they need to. And so when you bring people into the dynamic and they don't stay, and there's drama and there's conflict and there's miscommunication and there's um, frustration and confusion, it's normally because you haven't really fully defined that culture on every level. So, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let's talk about that in relation to your company and how to define your company culture, right? So at the bottom of the pyramid were people's basic needs, the physiological needs. Well, what does that translate into business? Well, in business that means you pay people what they're worth based on market analysis, based on the skill sets, based on the experience level. I find often in business, people will quibble over, five or $10,000 and will not give that to somebody who's a top notch person just based on principle that they just don't want to pay that number. Well, what if they're worth it? What if they come in and do things at a 5, 10x level, the extra few $1,000s they're asking for that you may not want to pay them compared to their other competitors out there that will pay them that creates a major gap for you. It was worth it to pay them a few extra thousand because you're going to get that out of them, right? And so take care of people's basic needs at that survival level, at that physiological level, right? Pay them fairly. Job stability. Nobody wants to work in a chaotic work environment where one day the boss comes in and we're going to go north. And then a week later, the boss comes in and we're going to go south. The week or two later, the boss comes in and changes direction again. People need stability, they need consistency in your leadership, in your culture. If everybody's all over the place doing everything, it's chaos. Nobody wants to work and manage chaos. They want to be clear on their roles and responsibilities. They want to be clear on their expectations. They want to be clear on what they bring to the table and how that's going to make an impact. They want to be clear on their goals. They want to be clear on what's going to make them successful in your company. And so if you don't do those types of things, providing them those kind of resources, that level of clarity, and train them well to do their job so they have complete confidence in what they're doing and they're not guessing, they're not trying to figure it out on the job, and you're leaving them to struggle and find people that can maybe help them. If you don't do those things, people will not stay. Your culture will not be a good culture. Got to invest in those things. So, number two, how to build your company culture around safety needs. Okay. People need security, not necessarily job security. You never know what's going to happen in business. Things can happen and change the dynamic. However, they need security in what they're doing and what those expectations are around how they're doing that. They need autonomy in giving them space to do their job, not micromanaging them. The safety space here is making sure people are set up for success. So you're not micromanaging them. You're not dictating stuff to them. They have an opportunity to contribute and have input and provide feedback and be part of the solution, be part of contributing and engaging. A lot of companies out there struggle with that. They want to drive things, they want to micromanage things, especially in this, remote environment we're in, where remote means you're not in the office. Therefore, I can't see you every day. Therefore, I need to have more meetings and conversations with you to make sure you're doing what you're doing and you're not screwing off somewhere, right? That doesn't create confidence in your employees. We're talking about trust and respect for your employees across the board and setting things in place for them to be able to achieve those things. All right. Number three, being connected. People need to belong, connect to something bigger. Okay. Have you defined what your company is really about? What problems you're really trying to solve in the world? What impact are you making in the world today? Are you connected to charities? Do you guys go do community events? How well connected are you? Better yet, how connected is your company to the broader aspect of what's going on in the world? When you work with your clients and you do great things for them, when you do make an impact in the world and solve world hunger or make the environment greener, and you're able to give somebody technology that solves some major problem in the world, like solving cancer, whatever that may be for you and your company, are your people connected to that? Are your leaders passing along that information and helping them understand the bigger picture that's going on? Because most employees are kind of stuck in their silo doing their day to day, and they don't understand how important their work is sometimes. They don't see how that's connected to their clients and their customers and the people that they're serving. They just don't see that sometimes. So you got to develop a culture that brings them into that, that shows them that, where they can see that and feel that and connect to that. Right now, we're at the end of 2024. It's a great time of year to give back to the community, to volunteer at a soup kitchen, to volunteer ringing a bell in front of the store for the Salvation Army, an opportunity to give to a charity, and an opportunity to volunteer in a church and to do something for the less fortunate, right? If your company's not connected to those kinds of things, where your employees can connect to those kind of things and can contribute to those kind of things, then you mitigate the sense of belonging, right? Being a part of things bigger than just your day-to-day 9 to 5 tasks means you're missing out on opportunities for the team to come together, for the team to bond, the team to get to know each other on different levels, and to feel like they're making a difference in the world. They've got to feel connected. They've got to feel like they belong. The fourth level here of how this can apply to your company is the esteem level, that self esteem and feeling pride, feeling confidence there, right? Do you have a recognition program? How do you recognize your employees for their hard work throughout the year? Do you have an employee of the month? Do you have a technician of the quarter? Do you have a mid level manager of the year award? How do you recognize your people? Do you recognize your people on a regular basis? Do you recognize your people in public, meaning in front of the other employees? How often do you have company all calls where you can talk about success and how much success you achieved this quarter or this year? An opportunity to talk about the employees, the unsung heroes, the people that stayed late, the people that went the extra mile. How do you appreciate them? As leaders, do you have a culture where the leaders universally walk around from time to time and just talk to employees without wanting anything in return? They're just connecting with them on their level, getting to understand them and their families and how many kids they have and the names of their dogs and just things about them. Do people feel appreciated? Do they feel like the leadership is paying attention to what they're doing in the trenches? Or do your employees feel like they never see the boss? I don't know what's going on at the strategic levels. I don't know if we're doing well in the company or not. I don't know if we're going to go out of business next week or we're thriving and we're growing and we're going to build a new building, next month. Leadership's got to make sure that the communication and that engagement from the top all the way down to the middle, down to the front lines level, that's there. People need to see and hear about the broader things going on. They need to feel appreciated. They need to feel valued. Fifth and final piece of this from a company culture, Maslow hierarchy of needs is that self actualization there, right? Purpose. What is the purpose of this company? Has the company realized its potential? Is the company thriving? Is the company in good standing from a shareholder, a boardroom perspective? Is the company being voted as a top place to work in your community or in your town? Do the employees come to work excited every day? Is your retention rate very high? Is your sick leave very low? Those are all signs that your people are engaged. The company is thriving. The company's purpose is being realized. The vision is coming to fruition and everybody is succeeding. The company's meeting its goals and the individuals in the company are meeting their own personal, professional goals. When everybody is winning, you've got a great company culture. And so if you haven't thought about it from this perspective, I think this is just a different way to think about culture as the nucleus of your culture, to think about it from a people organic perspective and build out from there. These are the basic building blocks of how to build and make sure you got the right components of culture in your company. And so I want to kind of leave you today with 9 key takeaways to an amazing culture. One, put people first. When I was in the military, I learned this from a boss of mine, and I carried this with me in every single leadership position that I ever served in. I led 12 different organizations prior to becoming a coach and getting into podcasting. And every single one of those leadership roles that I served in, people first, mission always, meaning I cared about the people. We're going to focus on the people, training people, developing people, listening to people, getting their feedback, giving them guidance and direction, and letting them figure out how we're going to execute in the best ways to achieve the mission. Because when you invest in people, and people know you care, people know they're a top priority, and you show that in all the ways that I've kind of explained that's connected to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you don't have to worry about the job getting done. They'll just take care of it without you asking. They'll work late. They'll go the extra mile with the client to make a client happy. They'll do what it takes. So put people first all the time. Number 2, pay them well. Pay people what they deserve to be paid. If you don't know how to pay people the right way, then reach out to coaches like me. Reach out to HR companies. If you have an HR department, have them do studies, have them look at and do market analysis of what people need to be paid and pay them well. Pay them top dollar if they're top notch people. Go hire top notch people and pay them top notch dollars and then treat them well and do the things we're talking about in here. They will never leave. They will they will run into a burning building to save you if need be. They are that loyal and committed when you do that. Another thing it's one of the keys to success here is being fair and equitable to people. Treat everybody fairly and with equality. If you're going to, you know, get onto somebody because they did something wrong or they said something the wrong way to a customer, or they didn't do what they say they were going to do, then do that fairly across the board with everybody that does that. If you're going to reward people for good work, reward people fairly and equitably. People need to know the leadership is consistent and fair in everything it does, from promotions to raises to treatment of people, giving people opportunities. Be fair to everybody. This is really important. One, number 4, do not promote toxic managers. Do not promote toxic managers. There's another way of saying that. Don't promote people that aren't ready to be promoted. Just because you've got a good go-to person that's a subject matter expert that is killing it, and you want to reward them with more money and a promotion, doesn't mean they're ready. Because how many times have we promoted somebody who was good at one level in one thing and promoted them into something else, and they did not do well in that situation. They weren't prepared, they weren't ready. And certainly if they're toxic, if they're negative, if they're gossiping, if they don't treat people fairly, if they're not communicating appropriately, do not ever promote toxic people. You only put your best of the best people that are prepared, trained, and equipped to serve at that level. Number 5, ask for feedback. Do 360 surveys. Talk to your employees. Ask them how things are going. Ask them how their day and their weeks are going. Ask them what their top frustrations are in the company, that if you were able to solve one or two of them and help them overcome that it would make a big impact and help them do their jobs even better. Get feedback on the culture. Get feedback on your customer service from your clients and your suppliers and vendors. Get feedback. Constantly get feedback. Number 6, trust and transparency. You can't have a company be successful. You can't have a company culture without trust and transparency, especially with the workforce of today and certainly the workforce of tomorrow. You absolutely have to be transparent. You have to communicate more than you've ever communicated. People need to know what's going on. They need to be able to trust their leaders and what they're saying, that they've done their homework, they know what they're talking about, and they're being open with them and transparent with them. And so everybody's on the same page. If you don't, then people are going to be in silos. They're going to come up with their own ways of doing things, and you're going to have an ineffective culture. All right, number 7, make work fun. I don't necessarily need to bring in donuts every day, or you need to, have a magician come in and entertain everybody at lunch. Those are nice, but make work fun. If you're a leader and you're running an organization and all that's being talked about are numbers and key performance indicators and goals and priorities and where are we tracking and what's the status and all of those kind of things, then you're just running people into the ground. They're going to think you don't care about them, what they're doing, things that are going on, things that are impacting them in life, and it's just a job. They're going to disengage. Make work fun. So, do you have to do a bunch of crazy stuff and put in ping pong tables and bars and free alcohol? Not necessarily, no. One example of how I like to make things fun is every Fridays I would do staff meetings, and we'd meet for an hour with my senior leadership executive team, and I wouldn't talk business for probably about 10 minutes. I'd see people like, "Hey, what do you think about the football game?" And I'd start, joking around about people's football teams and whether they're winning or losing, and just connecting with people, talking with people, joking around, keeping things lighthearted, and caring about people. I'd also walk around and just talk to people on Friday mornings. I'd walk around and I had no agenda. I wasn't looking for updates on things. I just walk around and how's it going? Hey, last week you said you were going to Disney World with your kids. How'd the trip go? How'd the kids like it? Hey, talking to somebody else. They said their dog was having surgery and their dog was sick, and I'd follow up, hey, how's your dog? Just the fact that I remembered things that were going on with them, and I would just talk to them on a personal level. I would joke around with them. I would ask about things and get them talking about things. Just kept things lighthearted. And I never take things too seriously. Never make the business place so serious where people can't joke around. People can't, have fun with you, the boss. If you make a mistake, and man, I made a lot of them, and people would, mess with me and joke around with me and pick and tease, and I'd be the brunt of the joke sometimes, and that's okay. I was good with that because I screwed up all the time, and I was okay with that because it helped me connect with them that I'm human and I make mistakes, and just because I'm the leader or boss of a group doesn't mean I'm not a human being. I don't put my pants on the same way that they do. All right. Number 8, respect your team's personal lives, right? It's not all about business all the time. Don't just communicate with your people when you want something official. Like if you call them on a Saturday, it needs to be for a very specific purpose, right? There's Don't abuse that in people's personal time. If they need to take time off to take their kid to the doctor, if they, are going to take a test for their college, end of their college course, right? Be respectful of people's personal time, people's personal goals, people's personal development, and be a champion of that. Champion that with them. And number 9, give recognition. Say thank you to people. Yeah, handing out trophies is great. I think everybody should have like a quarterly awards program where they recognize all the top performers of the quarter, and they talk about the successes and celebrate the successes of everything going on, and celebrate people's birthdays and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. But sometimes what means more to anybody is if you just walk around and go up to people and just pat them on the back and say thank you for staying late and taking care of that customer. I saw you did that. The customer came to me and was so grateful. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for going over and above on this project. Thank you for picking up the trash in the parking lot that spilt over, and everybody else walked over the trash, but you went over there and picked it up and threw it away. Thank you for serving in this company for 10 years. It's your 10-year anniversary. Thank you for your selfless sacrifices. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for being with us and growing. Thank you for contributing when we did a leadership offsite or a strategic planning event. Just thank people on a just very genuine level. And when you do those 9 things that are part of Maslow's hierarchy of the 5 needs we talked about, I promise you, you will have a winning culture that everybody wants to be a part of. Everybody wants to be part of success. Nobody wakes up and says, boy, what a great day to go work in a company with a bunch of losers. You know, Today's a great day to go work for a company that's going nowhere. Today's a great day to go to work for a company with a bunch of bad bosses that treat people bad, right? Nobody wakes up and wants to do that. They all want to work for a winning company, a culture that's supportive, that cares about people, that wants to be a part of the journey with them professionally and personally in conjunction with the company. And when you can, as a leader, blend people and their personal professional needs and goals in with the company's culture, goals, and objectives, now you've got a winning recipe. And so I hope today you were able to kind of understand things maybe in a different way, just thinking about it from a different perspective. Not many leaders that I talk to think about things from a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it really is that simple. It really is that basic. This is not hard stuff. But people get too focused on numbers and revenue and profits and, customer service, five-star reviews. And yeah, I get it. That's important. But define your culture, simplify this culture, bring your people together around this type of culture. And I promise you, you will grow, you will thrive, and you will certainly win. Reach out if you have questions. Reach out through the podcast contact information if you want to learn more about these things and how that compares to what you're doing and how this can help your company be successful. I've used this, worked with many companies around the world with a similar type of mindset and model, and it works. It's a game changer. So I encourage you to think about that when you think about switching into 2025 and your culture and your goals and objectives and your strategic plan. Make this part of that. And I guarantee you, you will go even farther in 2025 than you did in 2024. So that's it for today's show, everybody. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. This is very powerful, powerful stuff that can make a big difference. Next week, you don't want to miss out. We've got another great show. Next week, we're talking about mindset and the best ways to start off the new year thinking differently, be challenging yourself, right? Challenging your company in new and exciting ways that will allow you to do some breakthroughs, allow you to break through a ceiling, allow you to achieve that next level of success. We've got an expert on the show that's going to challenge us in many ways to do that and help you thrive as we go into the new year. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and I look forward to talking with you next week.